Welcome! We've got a really quiet and thoughtful story for you today, one that takes a look inside the landscape of the human mind.
You know, it's a question we've probably all asked ourselves at some point. Can a thought actually make you sick? Well, it turns out there's this ancient Chinese story that holds a really profound and gentle answer to that very question. So what you see here are 4 Chinese characters. Together, they form an idiom, or what's called a chengyu. Now, most chengyu are just these 4 little characters, but each one tells a whole story. This one is pronounced Bei Gong She Ying, and it comes from a fascinating tale about a mysterious illness and a very surprising cure. So let's look at it, one character at a time.
Okay, so the first character is Bei. This one means the cup.
Next, we have Gong, and that means the bow.
The third character you see on the screen is She. This one is the snake. And finally, we have Ying. This translates to the shadow, or you could also think of it as the reflection. So let's put it all together. Cup, bow, snake, shadow. Literally, the idiom is about mistaking the shadow of a bow in your cup for a snake. But on a much deeper level, it paints this perfect picture of being tormented by fears that aren't actually real. You know, that anxiety that we create entirely inside our own heads? And that, of course, brings us to the story itself. It all starts a long, long time ago in China with a very thoughtful official named Lei Guang. And he just loved having friends over to his home for some wine and good conversation. But one day, Lei Guang noticed that a dear friend of his, someone who had just been at a banquet at his house, had suddenly stopped visiting. Weeks went by and not a word. So Lei Guang got worried and finally decided to go to his friend's home to see what was going on. And what he finds is just awful. His friend is terribly sick, can't even get out of bed. When Lei Guang asked him what on earth happened, his friend confessed. He said, "At your banquet, I saw a little snake swimming in my wine cup. I was absolutely horrified, but you're my host, so out of respect, I drank it anyway. And ever since that moment, I've been gravely ill." Wow, I mean, this is such a powerful moment in the story, isn't it? The friend's belief that he swallowed a snake was so strong that it actually created a real physical sickness. His fear had literally taken root in his body.
Now, Li Guang was just baffled. How could a snake have possibly gotten into a wine cup in his house? He was such a careful host. He went back home, completely determined to solve this mystery, not just for himself, but for the health of his poor friend.
So he goes right back to the room where they'd had the banquet. He sits down in the exact same seat his friend had been in. He wanted to see exactly what his friend had seen. He pours a cup of wine, places it on the table right in front of him. He leans over, looks inside, and there it was, a small snake, and it looked like it was writhing in the liquid. But Lei Guang didn't panic. He stayed calm and just looked around the room, trying to find the source. And then he saw it. Hanging on the wall nearby was an ornate bow, and it was painted with a snake-like design. Its reflection, cast perfectly into the wine, created the illusion of a snake. It was nothing more than a trick of the light, just a shadow. So Lei Guang immediately invited his friend back over. He sat him down in that same seat, poured him a cup of wine, and showed him the snake. And then he just pointed to the bow on the wall. The moment, the very second, his friend understood the truth, that his fear was based on nothing but an illusion, his long, painful illness just vanished instantly. You know, it's such a simple story, but the wisdom in it is so deep. It's not really about snakes or bows, is it? It's about the nature of fear itself and how easily our minds can be tricked by things that only seem to be real.
What this story really teaches us is that our minds can create their own prisons of suffering, but it also shows us the way out. See, the cure for this kind of fear isn't some medicine, it's clarity. It's about taking the time to calmly investigate the source of our anxieties, just like Lei Guang did. And when we finally uncover the truth, that understanding can bring such immediate relief.
So how might you actually use this in a conversation today? Well, it's perfect for those moments of overthinking. You could say something like, "You know, I spent all weekend worried my boss was mad at me after that short email, but it was just a case of Bei Gong She Ying. Turns out she was just having a stressful day and it had nothing to do with me." It just perfectly describes creating anxiety out of thin air. Learn Chinese one story at a time.